Okay, welcome everybody to Hooligan Radio, the podcast that covers movies, gaming, true crime, cryptids, conspiracies, all in one. We have Isaiah. How's it going, Isaiah?
It's going good, man. I made a joke the first time we tried to record this, and I'm not going to make it again.
And I still don't understand it.
But I'm going to take that horse to the Old Town Road.
Damn it.
And Zach, you recently are settling into a new place. How's that going?
It's doing great. I never want to step foot into an IKEA ever again, but it's going great.
What was it about the IKEA that you never want to go again?
It's not even the fact that, it's not even the fact that IKEA was the worst part. It was just trying to put everything together for 3 straight days. Off of pure pictures.
All right. Spoiler alert. Zach doesn't get the meatballs at the end of this discussion, and I think he's got to go back and get strictly the meatballs. There's no assembly required with the meatballs. You just go in.
The worst thing
you
ever.
Eat the meatballs. You can eat the meatballs there. I'm telling you, man, the meatballs so worth.
All right. I feel like I'm going to have to end up going there at least one more time to get a lamp. So when I get that lamp, I'll get the meatballs as well.
Nice. And I am Josh, and guys, Avengers month is in full swing. The tickets came out the day after we recorded last week, and it was so crazy. Almost every ticketing site was crashed almost all day. People were trying to log on to buy tickets, and it would say, there's an hour plus wait. They'd put you in a wait queue just to get tickets for opening night. I was able to get up. I don't know what happened, guys. I didn't have an alarm set. I woke up, it was like 7:45, I checked my phone, and tickets had just gone on sale, and I was able to get them. Me, Isaiah, and my girlfriend, 3 tickets to an IMAX showing. I rechecked the tickets for the theater like 2 minutes after buying it, because it's an assigned seat theater, and only front row was available, and then like 5 minutes later, it was sold out. So we are extremely lucky, Isaiah.
Yeah, I was going to say, it seems like you beat the rush because, after you had told me that the tickets were secured, I saw everybody on Twitter being like, yo, the tickets are on sale. And then moments after that being like, yo, has anybody been able to get their ticket? I'm waiting in a queue.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I have to give it up to Lights Camera Barstool, because I saw their tweet right when I woke up that said, do not use your phone app, go on a computer. So I didn't even try to go on my phone. Those were already crashed by that point. I went straight to my computer and was able to get on. So one of the perks of having a girlfriend who works from home, she was already on the computer. So
So you just took her away from her work to buy your tickets. Sometimes you have to do it.
But hey, we're going, so
Yeah.
We'll be all good. But news broke that before Avengers Endgame, Star Wars The Force Awakens held the record for the most pre-sale tickets in the first 24 hours. Avengers Endgame broke that record in the first 6 hours. It then went on to triple the amount of pre-sale tickets in the first day that Infinity War did last year. So any thought that this movie had somehow less hype or less excitement than Infinity War is completely out the window at this point. I think this movie might open with like a 300 million plus U.S. opening. There's rumors that it might make $1 billion its opening weekend worldwide.
I believe it.
I might see it twice that weekend, to be honest.
I'm probably going to go nuts because this is going to be the first movie I ever see at that time slot on a release day. So I'm going to be like, wow, look at all hype these people are. What the fuck?
Have you seen anything IMAX before, Isaiah?
No, I don't think so. If I have, it was on accident.
It's an experience, man. I'm pretty excited. It's pretty wild. So yeah, just wanted to hit that because I expected there to be craziness, but I think it was even crazier than anybody expected. So I'm basically going to shut off my internet. I think the review embargo lifts 2 days before, on the Tuesday. So I'm basically just going to shut off my internet access that whole week and just try to go in as blind as possible.
Yeah, I think I've currently decided, and I was influenced by one of our friends. Dev has influenced me that I should I'm not watching any more trailers. That's it. I'm going to just straight up, this is it. That's all I needed to know. I was already excited for it. I don't know why I'm watching trailers. I don't need any advertising. I'm going to see the fucking movie. The tickets are already bought. There's no reason for me to consume any more advertising for them. So,
You literally bought the tickets. There's nothing you could do at this point.
Yeah, there's nothing that they could say that's going to make me unbuy the tickets because I wouldn't even know how, except for like reselling them, and I don't even know if you can do that with movie
So you
tickets.
resell it for 3 times how much you bought it for?
Yeah, my younger brother actually, he bought the last 4 tickets that were available on that screening, Isaiah. They were like front row to the end, and he doesn't even know who's going to go with him. He just bought them because there was 4 left, and he's like, if I don't get anybody to go, I'll just resell them.
Jesus.
Smart man.
But yeah, so that was pretty crazy. And then in other superhero movie news, the first trailer for Joker dropped, starring Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. There's been a lot of rumors about this movie. The first trailer is out. What did you guys think?
I am excited, actually. I think it's gonna be good. I'm gonna go into seeing it without trying to think about Heath Ledger. But DC does their villains really well, and I'm gonna assume that holds true here with the Joaquin Phoenix Joker. But I guess that's one where I'm like, I should probably keep watching the trailers to find out if I'm gonna keep watching it and if I'm gonna watch it or not.
I almost hope this starts like this new series of origin stories for villains, because I love the idea for it, and I think Joker's probably the best villain to start it with.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. I thought it was interesting, Zach. You kind of said it when you were watching the trailer. I heard you earlier say like you felt weird having sympathy for the Joker in the trailer. But I think the movie, based off of what I've seen in the trailer, is going to try to do a good balance of like, yes, you feel sympathetic because of the stuff he's gone through, but at the end of the day, what he's doing still isn't okay. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a weird balance to try to see them make one of the craziest villains, the protagonist in some way.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm pumped. I think that that like leaked scene that they had before where they were in the subway made me more excited than the trailer did. So which is probably weird, but I
have to say though, this is probably the first movie for DC in a long time that I'm actually excited for.
That's fair.
What other villains would you want to see an origin story after this?
I know that Fox, before they were bought by Disney, were making a Doctor Doom movie. Doctor Doom is the villain from Fantastic Four. But I think now that they've been purchased by Disney, that was like kind of stopped. But if they were going to introduce the Fantastic Four into the MCU, I think a Doctor Doom origin movie would be kind of cool. On the DC side, I would love to see a Penguin origin story, only if they get Danny DeVito back to once again play the Penguin.
Danny
100%.
DeVito. Yeah, I actually
do a Catwoman one.
Is Catwoman really a villain?
Yeah, they've tried. Halle Berry, one of the worst movies of all time.
Ooh, nice. And I feel like enough people demand for a Harley Quinn specific movie.
Yeah, I think that will happen. Doesn't mean that I'm super excited for it, but I think that would probably happen. I would love to see, what's the guy? Is it Dr. Freeze, Professor Freeze, Mr. Freeze?
Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze?
Yeah, dude. I haven't heard anything about Mr. Freeze in a long time, ever since the Batman animated short.
But only if Arnold Schwarzenegger can play Mr. Freeze again.
Yeah, he's got to get those ice puns.
No, I think that it should be Michael Cera. Michael Cera should play
the next DC villain, regardless of who it is.
Yeah. He should play...
He should play the Riddler.
Wow.
Nah, dude, they should recast Harley Quinn as Michael Cera, bro. Then I would be excited. I'd be like, "Fuck yeah, let's get it."
Let's go.
Yeah, they keep doing female versions of remakes of movies. Let's have Michael Cera do a male Harley Quinn.
That's what I'm talking about. Or he could be Poison Ivy.
I honestly, and I don't know why. I feel like it's just because we're so deep into the Marvel universe now. I just can't see them coming out and making a origin story for a villain, Marvel-wise.
Yeah, I mean, not the Marvel universe, but Sony did make the Venom movie, which is in Marvel, but I haven't seen it still yet, but from what I hear, they made him kind of an anti-hero, so they didn't even really fully commit to like the villain thing. But that's tough. How can you get your crowd to root for a villain the entire time? I don't know.
I mean, they did it with Bane, bro. Bane was way cooler than Batman in the Batman movies. I was like, hell yeah, Bane, fuck it up.
Bane, I hope you win.
And just one follow-up on what you guys are saying, there is a solo Harley Quinn movie coming out. It has some really weird, long, obnoxious title I can't remember. But it's I believe there's a lot of like female DC characters in it. It's not just Harley Quinn, but I think she is like the main star. So that is in the works. But
is it Harley Quinn in the Chamber of Secrets?
It's actually
Might
the
as well
Prisoner of
be.
Azkaban.
Oh, damn.
It looks like it's actually called Birds of Prey.
It's
Yeah,
called
Birds of Prey was
Prey?
the short title. Yeah, but it's called like The Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn or something like that.
Huh.
Something shitty.
All right.
But that's
I'll
enough
probably watch
DC
it.
talk for now. We'll do a little DC talk later with Shazam. But Isaiah, what do you got for us?
Yeah, so Nintendo Shadow dropped over the week that they are bringing VR support to some levels in Mario Odyssey, and I'm pretty sure the whole game of Breath of the Wild you could play in VR. But it's VR third person, and it's made with Nintendo Labo. So I don't know how that's going to go. It seems like it's kind of like a dipping their foot in the water of VR, seeing if anybody is interested in VR going forward. But what's interesting is this is more teasing stuff that there could be a more powerful Switch coming in the future, because with VR you really need a better screen resolution. You have to be at least 1080p, but it really can get you sick if you're any less than that. But it really works really well in 4K. So I'm hoping that this is the preface to a 4K Switch coming soon, but I don't know if that's actually going to happen here in the future. Have you guys watched the trailer for it?
I did. So I mean, it looks, it's VR. It's kind of hard to experience without actually wearing it. But I mean, it looks fine. Excuse me. The Nintendo Labo, I haven't gotten into, like, I barely even know what it is. Like, isn't it just cardboard?
Yeah, it's cardboard and other things, but you get to put it together. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I saw a lot of slander online when it first came out from Nintendo fans, so I hadn't really looked into it.
Yeah, and there's another thing where it's like the way that the video shows, it shows like the Switch being in the VR headset with the controllers on it. So people are like, do I have to play it like right up on my face? I don't know how that works and all that kind of stuff, but I don't know. It's interesting because, I mean, if you're going to patch in VR support like this for a couple games, it's like obviously they're testing something or trying something going on over there. You don't just pay developers to do VR things for no reason, right?
And for a game that's already been released, there's something bigger in the works.
Yeah, there's something going on in the background there, but that's really the only thing. Like I said last episode, all of the gaming news is all going to die down here in the month and 2 months before E3. Nobody wants to. I mean, it'll all be leaks from here until E3. So
I'm all for VR, though. I'm a huge fan of VR, so I'm all for that. Yeah,
I hope that they. I mean, I talked about it a long time ago, probably on the podcast. If not, I've talked about it to everybody who probably listens to the podcast. That the Nintendo had filed for a patent for a VR headset for the Switch. So I'm hoping that we'll get to see that here in the coming years. But that's besides the point. We'll find out probably more about that here coming soon, too. In other Nintendo news, I'll bring it up because Zach had brought it up to me. Allegedly, we might be getting a Nintendo Direct about the upcoming DLC character, Joker, for Smash. People are saying that they'll do it because it's Reggie's last week at Nintendo. Knowing us, I'll talk about it right here, and it'll happen on Tuesday, and the episode will come out on Wednesday, so all of my tensing won't matter. It would be cool if it happens, but the Nintendo community would literally latch on to anything and be like, "Oh yeah, this means Joker. The Joker reveal is coming this week." They could be like, it's the first week of April, so they're probably gonna April Fools drop me a Joker trailer, but it's gonna be the real trailer. Oh, it didn't happen this week. All right, next week. I think that's Reggie's last week. So who knows what's going to happen? I would love to see how he's actually going to play and get more information on the DLC characters, but as of right now, I don't get my hopes up for that anymore. But something I'm more excited to talk about. Did you guys see that Drake is making his foyer back into television with his new Netflix series that's coming out called Top Boy?
No.
Yeah, I guess he's going to be the producer on it. It seems interesting. I don't really know what the show's about. Here, I'll read you what it says. It says, Netflix, with the help of Drake as a producer, is reviving Top Boy, a British series that ran for 2 seasons starting in 2011. And it's about living in a crime-filled area of East London, dealing with the reality of getting by amid violence and poverty. The show looks gorgeous. Oh, yeah, this is straight out of an article I'm reading from The Verge. So it seems like it's growing up in London, in the hood in London kind of show, produced by Drake. So that'll be interesting to say the least. I don't know how Drake is as a TV producer, because I don't even think that Drake is a music producer. I think he's just a guy, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
He's an entertainer, that's for sure. So I mean, anything with that he's involved in, I'll probably at least check the buzz on once it comes out to see if it's worth watching.
Yeah, I mean, I have Netflix, so it's gonna be free for me to watch it. So why not just watch it? But that's really it. That's really it for the news.
We have some breaking news real quick. We're going to talk about this a little bit later, but a sequel for Shazam has just been confirmed by DC.
Wow.
Shazam
2. Shazam does it again.
Back in Shazam.
Sham wow, but wait, there's more.
But we'll talk about the first Shazam a little later. I just wanted to get that out there before I forgot. Zach, what do you got for us?
Right. So this week we're going to start off with some ghost news. And this is actually like 2 parts into this. So in a news article in Wilmington, Massachusetts, a grocery store named the Market Basket is apparently haunted by a Victorian ghost. The ghost is said to be between the age of 17 to 30 with dark hair, blue eyes, light skin, and she's often seen wearing the Victorian clothing of the time. Several shoppers have come out and said that they've seen her, with one specific shopper saying, and I quote, "I saw her, I looked away to see if anyone else saw her, and when I looked back, she was gone," said the unnamed woman, noting the ghost disappeared before she could even get a picture of her. And this just wasn't the first time this ghost has been seen. I guess this has been going on for quite some time. The funny part is that shortly after this article was released, and news reporters started going to the grocery store to get comments and stuff out. The grocery store just completely came out and was against ghosts, saying we're not haunted here, even quoting and saying from their spokeswoman, if there's anything to this ghost story, it's probably because she's attracted to our Victorian area prices and trying to use it as a way just to get more people into shop.
Jesus Christ. Is anybody trying to fuck this ghost, or is that not happening?
I mean, if they can get in that quick.
Oh, yeah, dude. Some people can get it in pretty quick. I've watched some guys at the bar. They get it in pretty quick.
It's rumored that I guess the market was actually not doing very good, and that once this was released, the market's been doing significantly much better. Whether people just want to come in and try to shop and see the ghost, or people started looking like, hey, look at these low prices, we got to go in there. But regardless, the store is thriving from it.
Yeah, I mean, these people are denying it. I would embrace it, man. If my grocery store was haunted, you got to separate yourself nowadays, from the big box stores. You got to be come get your stuff checked out at the register by a ghost.
Right?
Nah, dude, I think that you have to deny it. If you're the store, you have to deny it. It makes it more enticing. If they were like, we are the ghost grocery store, everybody's be like, oh, that's fucking cheesy and the sham.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. You know what I mean? But now people are like, oh, they got ghosts and they don't want to get caught with ghosts.
I got you. Yeah, so if they embrace the meme too hard, then it kind of becomes cringy. So you gotta go against it.
Right. You gotta resist the meme so you can stay famous longer.
But there's just so many people that have come out and said they've seen this woman. There's one other person who said an old Victorian era woman in her nightgown appeared next to me near the frozen peas and then went away into the freezer.
In the peas?
In the frozen peas.
All I'm saying is if there was a vegetable I would think that would be haunted, it would be peas. Only people I know that like peas are people basically that are already ghosts.
No, I gotta go with edamame for that one.
No way, dude. Edamame slaps ass.
I didn't say it was bad. I just said it'd be haunted.
No, something that good can't be haunted.
All right, fine. We'll split the difference. Water chestnuts.
Whoa! Blasphemy out here talking about water chestnuts splitting the difference. Water chestnuts are better than edamame. Way worse than peas. I'm saying carrots, maybe.
Cauliflower, yes.
Carrots. Oh, cauliflower is ghost. Oh, when you're eating cauliflower, you're literally just eating ghosts.
Eating the souls.
All right, we can all agree on that one at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe the ghost was lost and it was looking for the cauliflower, not the peas.
Or the water chestnuts, since I guess they're so good. But I guess if we have any listeners in the Wilmington, Massachusetts area, go check out Market Basket and let us know if you see this woman.
Yeah, I mean, or you could just take a picture with her. I heard you could take pictures of ghosts.
Yeah. Go to the frozen peas and start snapping some pics. We're bound to get something.
But make sure you check for dust. We don't want any dust globies. We want real globies.
True. In the second article that I actually want to bring up today, in Arkansas, 2 men took turns wearing bulletproof vests and shooting each other, said cops.
That is amazing.
That's the ultimate.
Fucking amazing.
To me, I just first reading that title, I'm just like, the first thing I think of is like when people are like, all right, I'm going to punch you, you punch me, and we'll just keep going until someone knocks out. But they took it a step further.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. Because from everything that I've seen, even getting shot with a bulletproof vest on hurts like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
It just makes it so the bullet doesn't go through you, but all of that force is absorbed by your body still.
Yeah. So it says the police advocate says the 2 men are neighbors and were drinking on a deck Sunday when Charles Ferris, a 50-year-old, and a 36-year-old named Christopher Hicks decided to shoot each other with a 22 millimeter caliber rifle, taking turns wearing the vests. The men were covered in bruises at the end, and it mainly started because one man, and it doesn't say which one here, got so drunk that he put the bulletproof vest on, asked his friend to shoot him. After he shot him, got a bruise, he got angry, gave his friend the thing so he could do it to him, and it just kept going back and forth.
I love the fact that they somehow ended up both getting arrested. like neither one was forcing the other to do it. They just shooting each other, and they both end up getting arrested for aggravated assault.
Yeah. Suspicion of aggravated assault. Like, imagine being one of their neighbors just hearing this going on.
I just cannot imagine just being like coming out. Imagine being like a married to one of these guys and just coming out and be like, "What the fuck are you doing?
Get back inside, buddy.
Get back inside. He shot me. I'm gonna shoot him."
And then he's gonna shoot me, so I'm gonna shoot him.
Where did they get the vests? Why do they have these? That's
you can buy a bulletproof vest, bro.
Yeah, I bet you can.
Easy. I bet you could get one on Amazon.
In the same cart with your t-shirt shotgun cannon.
Yeah, dude. That's what I'm saying. Shoot somebody with a bulletproof vest on with a t-shirt gun. See what we get.
I guess it got to the point where Hicks told Ferris to put on the vest and then loaded an entire clip into his back.
No way.
That was pretty much what ended it.
No way. No way. This is fucked. That's insane. You know how that would hurt so bad?
Light bruising, but no serious injuries reported. Court records do not list an attorney who can speak on their behalf.
I need to know what caliber weapon these guys were shooting at each other's backs. A 22. Motherfucking fuck! Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah, it's just pretty. Yeah, there you go. Don't go to Arkansas.
Don't do it. It's not fucking worth it.
Yes. Birthplace of Walmart.
Is that really where Walmart started?
I think so. Isn't that the
I thought
their
Sam
home
Walton was
state?
from Ohio.
We're fact checking this.
Fact
Okay,
checking, which means
can
we
anyone
got a
else-
filibuster while Zach Googles.
Yeah,
So-
can anyone else from another state tell us? Because I feel like in Ohio we grew up, everything was invented in Ohio. Am I the only one who was taught this in school? Like every good invention, they were from Ohio. Like every person.
Birthplace of Walmart, Rogers, Arkansas. But you are correct. There's a lot of stuff that's been supposedly invented in Ohio.
No. None of it was invented in Ohio. The people who invented it are from Ohio, had a great idea, and were like, we need to move out of this shithole and go to a place where I can actually work on this and not be depressed 6 months out of a 12-month year.
Well, the Wright brothers invented the airplane in Ohio. They didn't take that somewhere else.
But some people say they're from West Virginia.
Some people also say that they first flew in Carolina.
It's like, what? And it's like sometimes it's not even that they're from here. It's like an even further distant connection. Like they once had a layover here for 20 minutes or something. Therefore, that qualifies Ohio as the birthplace.
All right, but let's talk about it this
Ohio
way.
or something?
Let's talk about it like this. This is all besides the point. Can we talk about how this was a class that we had to take in high school, but I still don't know how to do my regional taxes? Like they literally were like, they were like, here's Ohio history, and we're like, wow, super cool, awesome. And then I was like, oh, what the hell is a fucking Rita?
Yeah. Dude, why do I owe so much money to the government?
Yeah, why do I have to pay them $300 right now, or they're going to take me to tax court?
Yeah, I am 24 years old, and I didn't know what Rita was until March of 2019.
Oh, that's probably
how
good.
much did you owe them?
A lot.
Yeah.
I'm off the grid mostly. Let's move on.
Our friend Corey forgot to pay his city tax for years when he went to college, and he got screwed.
Yeah, one of my buddies
I may be in the same boat.
One of my buddies at work had the same thing go on. He now owes them $1,500 or something like that.
Man.
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah.
More personal finance.
That everybody who ever invented everything is from Ohio. Had me convinced that the guys who made the Super Hadron Collider at CERN also from Ohio. The guys who wrote the Avengers, they're from Ohio. Stan Lee, he was born in Ohio. And the football was made in Cleveland, Ohio.
I actually think the nativity scene, the birth of Christ, I think that took place in the Cincinnati area.
Yeah. Jerusalem is actually west of Columbus. Yeah, so basically, if you don't read Scarlet and Gray, you'll never see the light of day, is what I was told.
Have fun in hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. See it, play it, skip it. See it, play it,
see it, play it, skip it. Okay, so I saw Shazam. So I talked last week about how I finally watched Aquaman, and I thought it was fine. Shazam was really interesting because although I feel like I had more fun watching Aquaman, I feel like Shazam was the better movie, and I feel like I would recommend someone to see Shazam rather than recommending Aquaman. Shazam was an easier watch, I think, but it was just it looked like a Nickelodeon, a TV movie. I don't know, it did not look good at all, if that makes sense. But that's snobby stuff. On the base level, it was very funny. The performances were really good, even from the children actors. The villain was surprisingly good. He was a guy who had control of this, the seven, what do you call them? The seven deadly sins were in the form of a demon. Each sin was, and he was in control of all of them. So it was a pretty cool concept for a villain. And overall, it was an enjoyable movie. For me, it just felt a little visually boring. The movie wasn't boring, but it was just visually boring. It didn't look Aquaman looks awesome if you watch it. Everything, James Wan does an amazing job making it look stunning. So Shazam kind of fell flat in that area for me. But I would recommend it more so than Aquaman, because Aquaman's just super fucking long and ridiculous. At least Shazam is a normal 2-hour movie. One quick thing I'll say about it as well. My theater was mostly parents with very, very young children. I feel like Shazam was marketed as a very kid-friendly movie. You know, you have a kid turning into a superhero, you know?
Yeah.
It is a strong PG-13. There is a ton of language in the movie from all of the kids, which is realistic, obviously, but it's awkward when like the kids are telling jokes, but they're saying shit or dickhole or asshole in all of the jokes. So the kids like aren't laughing because they don't want their parents, you know, they're like snickering so their parents don't hear them. It made for a very awkward tension in the theater. And it was actually very kind of scary in some scenes as well for small children. Like with the 7 deadly sins, they all looked disgusting and they would like eat people and like bite their heads off and shit. And it doesn't show all of it like a rated R movie, but it's still pretty. If I was a little kid, I'd be pretty disturbed. So I think the marketing was a little bit on the side of, hey, it's pretty kid friendly. I think some parents might be a little deceived by that, you know, as far as how, depending on how conservative of a parent you are. But overall, I give the movie a 6 out of 10. Fair recommendation, but I wouldn't go, you know, you can definitely wait to rent it, or if it ends up on Netflix or something, you know, I wouldn't go out of your way to see it. But it was fine. For the DC movies lately, it's one of the better ones for sure.
On Friday, I'm going to talk about a video game that didn't really come out on Friday, but they had a major update. Enter the Gungeon got their final content update. All of their content updates are free. And I've already put in 40 hours since Friday. So
Jeez,
rest in
40?
peace, me.
That's a fuck ton.
Yeah. I've played a lot. Of Enter the Gungeon.
What's the game like?
So it's a roguelike bullet hell. If you don't know what that means, I promise you it's a good time. So a bullet hell is like those games where you are like dodging bullets. Like, what's that arcade game where you like flying the little plane and you're like shooting all the stuff and you got to dodge all of the bullets and stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, stuff like Galaga, or there's like a airplane one. I don't remember what it's called. Something like that. That's a bullet hell game. And a roguelike is like every time you play, you can unlock things that make the game easier, but whenever you die, you go back to the beginning.
Oh shit, okay.
But yeah, I'm not sure if it's still on sale. I know that it was on sale. I think it's currently on sale, but there is no promises for when this drops. So I would check that out. I 100% say you should play it. If it gives you any inclination on how much I'm biased towards the game, I have 140 hours of it played on my Switch, and I have over 75 hours of it played on my computer. So I have 200 hours probably across all platforms in the game. So yeah. But yeah, definitely play it. If you have Enter the Gungeon and you haven't checked it out since Friday, they added a couple more Gungeoneers, which are the characters, and we'll go from there. It's a good time.
All right. And Zach?
And I haven't watched anything new, unfortunately, with the apartment move. But one thing I did notice on Hulu that y'all should go check out is they put A Quiet Place onto there. And I saw A Quiet Place when it was originally released in theaters. It was a good movie. I wouldn't say great, but it was really good. Definitely a real good concept for a movie with it. If you don't know from the name or any knowledge of the movie, essentially it's a post-apocalyptic movie where everyone has to stay silent. Pretty much what's going around killing people are attracted to sound. So if they speak or like make too much noise, they'll come find them. I'm actually curious and I actually think it will be better to watch this movie streaming-wise instead of it being in a theater where everyone has to be silent, because everyone in theater just can't do that, to be honest. I watched it with, like, kids screaming and crying, and I'm just like, why the hell are you at this movie?
I was lucky enough to be in a theater where, for I would say 95% of it, people were pretty respectful and quiet. So I was lucky. But yeah, I can definitely see why watching it at home, especially if you were alone in the dark, could be even a better experience.
Yeah, at one point in time, some guy's phone went off and was just having a conversation where, like, you understand that everyone in this theater can hear you. There is no sound.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I think the opposite for me is, like, I'm glad I was in the theater because it gave me more, like, incentive to pay attention, because, like, I'm at home and the movie is just not making any sound. I'm like, I can check my phone. I'll just look up the next time they make sounds.
You put yourself in the atmosphere. You got to close all the blind shades, make it super dark.
Yeah, but how often do you throw something on Hulu and you go, "Ooh, let me set the ambiance of the room for this
Yes,
movie
you
I'm gonna
gotta
watch on
Too
Hulu"?
many times.
you gotta light the candles, get the lotion out.
Yeah,
What
bro.
movies do you watch on Hulu?
The good ones.
The good ones?
I had a couple streaming stuff I wanted to bring up as well. First of all, Triple Frontier, Isaiah, you talked about it a couple weeks ago. I
Yeah.
finally checked it out. Damn, dude, this movie surprised me. I was not expecting to like it.
So good.
Very, very good. I mean, like I said, I won't say much because you already kind of covered it, but I would recommend this one, guys. It's definitely my favorite thing I've seen on a streaming platform this year, movie wise. Ben Affleck, Charlie Hunnam, Oscar Isaac, all the main guys in it are all just great. There's the action's great, the twists are great. I would check that one out, guys, if you've slept on Triple Frontier. Great action heist movie. And then a few shows that I started watching, but I haven't watched all the way through, so I can't say watch it or skip it necessarily on them yet. But I started watching The Tick on Amazon Prime. I'm
Yeah,
about
what do
4
you think of
episodes in.
that?
It's like the perfect so far. It's like the perfect parody of superhero movies and shows. Like it's a very low budget, campy. Like it knows what it is and it's being ridiculous on purpose. So I'm interested to see if the second season just came out, so I want to watch it all before I give
Is
my
there
full
really?
opinion.
I actually watched the full first season, and I don't know how I feel about it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
It was
glowing.
it was like too much. Like I understand, like it was like a parody, I guess, in the sense of movies, but it just took it to extreme where I couldn't take it seriously at all.
Yeah, I already really can't, so I can see where you're coming from there. But I'll finish off the first season and revisit it. I also started watching season 2 of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Came out on Netflix. I already talked about the first season. As I said last week, that genre is one of my guilty pleasures. It's kind of like a Riverdale type show, so I'm hate watching that, love it. And then I think that might be it. Oh, and I started watching Future Man, Seth Rogen show on Hulu. I haven't gotten super far, but I'm pretty into that one as well. Josh Hutcherson is like taken, to
Oh
the
yeah. He's like,
yeah, because
he says his name is not a woman's name in the future or something like that in the ad. I've seen a million times. Yeah, is that any good? You said you just started it, or?
Yeah, I've only seen the first 2 episodes, but yeah, it's pretty funny. Again, it's kind of like The Tick, where it's a little bit campy, but like it knows that it is. But you got Seth Rogen was either the creator or one of the main producers, but it's definitely got that kind of comedy in it. Very self-aware, sarcastic humor, but we'll see. I haven't gotten super invested in it yet. I want to see where it goes, but I did start watching it, and I think that the second season of that just came out as well. That's usually when I jump into shows that I miss. It's like if I miss the first season, but it's successful enough to have a second one, it's like, okay, maybe I should check it out.
Yeah, you have to let me know what you think about that. Could check it out. Personally, I see the ads and I'm like, I don't know about all that, but could be worth. I'm excited to hear.
And jumping into our main topic, so we're going to be talking about today, is Rotten Tomatoes useful? Is it a website that you should be using to get opinions on your movies? One of the main reasons I came up with wanting to talk about this topic was last week when we were talking about our guilty pleasures. I kept referencing the Rotten Tomatoes score, right? Like I was like, oh, well, this has a 17% Rotten Tomatoes score, so obviously if you like it, it's a guilty pleasure. But is that really true? You know what I mean? Is that really a true definition of the quality of a movie? So I did a little bit of research, and combined with my own opinions on using the site, and I want to hear your guys' opinions as well, we're going to kind of jump through what's good about the site, what maybe isn't great about the site, and how you should use it when it comes to movies and TV as well, but we're really going to focus on movies. So first, before we jump into our opinions, I do want to just kind of break down for anybody who, for somehow, whatever reason, doesn't know how Rotten Tomatoes works, or maybe you don't even know what it is. Rotten Tomatoes is a aggregate movie review site. So basically what they do is they take all of the reviews that they find are quality, and we'll go over what they deem quality later. They take all of the reviews that they find are quality, and they give a percentage of how many of these reviews are positive. So they take a movie once it's released, and if 60% or more of the reviews are positive, that's considered a fresh rating. The movie is 6 out of 10. Critics enjoyed it. That's fresh. If it's 59% or less positive reviews, then it's considered rotten. The movie's a rotten movie. And personally, right off the bat here, I think this is one of the biggest parts Rotten Tomatoes gets such a pushback from a lot of people, is because it's like, oh, well, only 58% of people liked it, so now it's a rotten movie. Like, that's pretty strong. But we'll get to that in a little bit. One last rating they have is called certified fresh. And for your movie to be certified fresh, it has to have at least 80 reviews, with 5 of them from what they deem top critics, where 75% of those are positive reviews. So the first question that, kind of I wanted to look into with Rotten Tomatoes for this was, who are these critics? Like, we know that Rotten Tomatoes themselves aren't reviewing these movies, but how do you get on Rotten Tomatoes? Like, who do they choose? You know what I mean? So I looked into it, and basically any individual critic can submit an application to put their review on Rotten Tomatoes, but Rotten Tomatoes either has to approve your application, or they just go out and choose people that they deem worthy based on their length of consistent content. So, like, how long have you been reviewing movies? How much of an audience do you have? What's your outreach? And then what's the quality of your reviews? So they do say that they look into it if they feel like you're a biased reviewer, or, you don't say a lot of good points in your reviews, they won't put you on there. And then every once in a while, they will solely decide top critics, which basically meet all of those standards, but to an even higher level. But top critics change all the time. You can gain or lose that title at any time. So it's kind of a little bit of a gray area as far as how you can get on Rotten Tomatoes. But the good thing about it is that it's not anybody. You can't just go on there and become, and affect the Rotten Tomatoes score. People who use the website affect the audience score. So it does have an audience score for every movie as well. And that's the score where anybody can go on, create a Rotten Tomatoes account through Facebook or an email, and review any movie that you want. And it shows a percentage out of that as well for the audience score, but there's no fresh or rotten categorization for the audience score. It's just a percentage of how many people enjoyed it. So it's a little bit less harsh than the critic score.
Right.
So before we jump into anything more, I just wanted to get your guys' overall experience with Rotten Tomatoes. How much do you use it and everything like that?
I've got a question before your question. Are you a Rotten Tomatoes critic? Are you applied? Are you certified as a top critic, Josh?
No, not top critic. So one of the parameters, if you were to submit an application, is that you either have to be with an outlet that's approved by Rotten Tomatoes, or you have to, if you're an individual critic, you have to have at least 30,000 subscribers, either to your website or your YouTube channel, whatever the case may be. So it's not necessarily really easy for anyone to go on there and become a tomato meter approved critic, is what they call it. I do have a Rotten Tomatoes account, but from my recollection, I've never reviewed a movie on there. I use Letterboxd myself. Letterboxd is basically social media for people who review movies. But no, I don't really use Rotten Tomatoes as someone who likes to review movies.
Okay.
I feel like I use Rotten Tomatoes in the sense of, as long as it's not like lower than 20%, I'm going to see the movie more than likely. You know what? Here's the real test. What is Grave Encounters on Rotten Tomatoes?
Oh, dude,
okay,
probably
here we go.
Fucking
Here we go.
1%.
64%.
Whoa!
So it's fresh.
Significantly higher than I thought it would be.
It's not even a guilty pleasure then, dude. It's certified fresh.
Audience score only gave it a 48, which I honestly, till you brought that up, did not know that they also gave an audience score with it.
Yeah. So that's the thing, is there's a ton about that Rotten Tomatoes that people don't know, because all you see of it is a Rotten Tomatoes score plastered somewhere, right? Like, you'll see it in a commercial, or people talk about it, or whatever the case is. There's an audience score. The other big thing that people don't know about Rotten Tomatoes is that they have an average score as well for every movie. So for every critic that puts a review on there, not only are they giving it, is this fresh, is this rotten, but they're giving it their own score, and Rotten Tomatoes takes that out of 10 and applies it to the film. So that's more so, if you want to look at what's the quality of the movie, I would suggest looking at the average score, because the tomato meter, and we'll get into this, someone could give a movie a 6 out of 10 and say it's fresh. Someone could give it a 6 out of 10 and say it's rotten. So it gets a little bit messy with the tomato meter. One great example of this is The Incredible Hulk from 2009 has a 67% rating, so it's fresh, but the average rating out of 10 is 6.18. Man of Steel, which is a DC movie, is only 55%. So that's considered rotten, yet its average score is actually higher at 6.25. So the tomato meter can sometimes kind of be deceiving. If you fall right under or right above that 60% mark, it could really change how much money your movie makes at the end of the day. So the average score is definitely something I check, and people just don't even know it exists. So people don't even look for it.
Yeah, so my experience with Rotten Tomatoes is people just telling me about Rotten Tomatoes. Normally, if I want to see a movie or have seen a movie, there's nothing that's going to tell me that I shouldn't see it. Like, especially because there's been so many times where it's just like, yeah, dude, the reviews on this movie say it's really bad. And I'm just like, but I thought it was pretty okay. I thought it was worth it. But, so, I don't know, man. I didn't know that there was such an in-depth scoring going on there, but I would assume that the audience score would probably align better with my views of things, except for in the case of Grave Encounters, obviously. I'm about to be up there with the certified fresh on my part, at least.
Yeah.
If not the greatest movie on the site.
Yeah, and Isaiah, I'm totally with you on that. As far as, I probably use Rotten Tomatoes a little bit more than you would, but there are plenty of people, and a lot of times even myself, where Shazam had a 92% tomato meter. So I'm thinking, wow, this movie's going to be amazing. And then I went to it and I'm like, oh, that was fine. Or there are times where it's rated really well and I absolutely hated it. So we'll get to a few tips later regarding that. One other topic I wanted to bring up real quick, because this is actually what bothers me about it. Movie studios in Hollywood really hate critics in general, let's be honest. But because when they make a movie, to them, it's a product, right? It's a business. They're trying to sell it. So any obstacle to them that's going to hinder that, they're not going to like, right? So that's fair. But they really do not like Rotten Tomatoes. But the thing is, they're hypocrites about it. Because when Rotten Tomatoes and the critics give their movies a good score, they plaster it on their DVDs. You get a Rotten Tomatoes certified fresh sticker on your DVD. They put it in their movie trailers, anything they can. Oh, look, this movie's held up, high regard by critics. But then as soon as a movie has a bad rating, they're like, oh, Rotten Tomatoes is terrible. Don't even listen to it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of hypocritical. One great example is in 2017, Sony, they released a film Baby Driver, which is actually one of my favorite movies of 2017. I love Baby Driver. It had a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and Sony put that in all of their TV spots for the movie. So any TV commercial you would see for Baby Driver when it was coming out, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. But then literally that same year, just a month later, Baby Driver came out in July, they had two movies come out. The Dark Tower, which had a 16% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the Emoji Movie, which had a 7% on Rotten Tomatoes. For both of those movies, not only did Sony obviously not put the Rotten Tomatoes score in their trailers, but they delayed any critic screenings for those films up until a couple of days before the film's released. And basically what that does is critics can't put their reviews out until basically when the movie's opening, and Rotten Tomatoes can't calculate their score until basically the movie's opening. And the movie studio does this when they think a movie's going to be bad or received poorly, so that they think in their minds, oh, well, at least people will still go on Friday or Saturday before they see the Rotten Tomatoes score. And I get that. There's no law or anything against that, but I think it's a little bit shady to, delay your reviewing process for some of your movies, and then as soon as you have a good one, plaster it all over everything you can. I think it's just a little bit hypocritical, but then again, that's the business, I guess. That's they're in the business of making money, so you can't blame them too much.
Rotten Tomatoes, to me, those just seems like it's that ranking system that's, I guess, preppy. I know that's not the right word to use there, but like
snobby, maybe you're saying?
Yeah, like a lot of the time, like, to be honest, I'm like looking through some like the top lists of this year, of like just previous years, and a lot of the ones that are near the top or certified fresh are like these critically acclaimed movies or like these documentaries that looks like they all got their start in like in the Sundance film festivals, but then you see like other high ranking movies that have done billions of dollars, like Marvel movies that aren't certified fresh.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see where you're coming from that, and that's a big, that's a part of it. Not every, and this is where, when it comes to using Rotten Tomatoes, me, as someone who watches movies all the time, I could never look at Rotten Tomatoes and it won't affect what movies I see because I know I'm going to see at least one a month, right? But people like Isaiah, probably more so before we started this podcast, and other people who never see movies or rarely see movies, they might only see one movie a year. So Rotten Tomatoes might be a tool for them to go, if I'm only going to see one movie this year, I want to make sure that movie's not going to suck, right? You don't want to go see a shitty movie the one time you're going to the theater, especially let's say you're a family, you have 2 or 3 kids. You don't want to spend $80 to take your kids to the Emoji Movie. Maybe you do, that's your choice. But Rotten Tomatoes, I think that's one time where it can be used well. But here's just a few tips from my experience of using it if you are going to use Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, first
thing, yep. Go ahead.
I think that's an interesting point, but also like speaking onto what Zach is saying is like some of these critically acclaimed movies that came from Sundance and all that kind of stuff wouldn't be something if I had 3 kids, I would be like, oh, we got to see this because the critics loved it or something like that, compared to going and see something like Grown Ups or something where it would be family friendly. You would have a good time. But I'm going to guess that it's not certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. So it's also doing a disservice in that kind of sense too, where it's kind of like Zach said, snobby, or like that whole like hipster-esque feel on it, where people are like, this was so artsy and amazing. You're just like, okay, exactly. But like, was it inherently a good movie?
Like, I'm looking at the top 5 highest ranking Rotten Tomatoes certified fresh ones for this year, and I haven't heard of a single one of these, but they're like number 4, Rodents of Unusual Size, which is a documentary about rodents in Louisiana. Like, I'm not going to go out and actively try to see this in a theater, but I'll scroll down to number 9, which is actually Us, which was very good. So I feel like with a lot of these, you have to take it with a grain of salt.
Another question I have for you, Josh, is do you think or have you heard of Rotten Tomatoes having any problems with review bombing? So that's like a huge problem in the gaming industry right now, and it's actually come to fruition with Borderlands. So there's an announcement that Borderlands is going to go exclusive to the Epic Games Store, Borderlands 3, whenever it comes out. So people are going on Steam and just tanking the reviews on all of the Borderlands games, just like literally basically making this game just rated like 20%. Nobody likes this game because they went, you know what I mean? Like,
no, for sure. One great, I think, example, exactly what you're talking about, happened with Captain Marvel. So when Captain Marvel was coming out, Rotten Tomatoes actually just recently changed this feature. They used to have, they have the audience score, right, which is after the movie comes out, what the audience thinks. Before the movie comes out, they have a feature called Want to See, where you basically go on the website and click, do you want to see this movie or not, and it would give a percentage. So everyone was doing that with Captain Marvel, bombing it and hitting, not want to see, because of comments that Brie Larson made about white people, and we won't get into that. But so I think the want to see percentage was like 5% or something ridiculous. So Rotten Tomatoes actually changed the want to see category, where now instead of a percentage, you actually just hit the want to see button and it gives you a tally of how many people want to see it. So like only 5,000 people want to see this movie, but 50,000 people want to see Endgame. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
so they changed it so it can more accurately represent, how many people want to see it, not a percentage of people. But with the audience score, I think it'd be tough to battle that, because I can try to look it up, or Zach, if you can look it up quickly. I don't know what the audience score is for Captain Marvel right now. It's probably low, at least compared to the critic score.
I actually just saw it on here a second ago. Give me 1 second. It wasn't... Okay. What score did you want? I have it right here.
The audience score for Captain Marvel.
The audience score is 58.
58. So that's actually not terrible. I was expecting lower. But I think the one thing that was brought up as a possibility is ticket verification, where if you're going to post a user review on Rotten Tomatoes, you have to take a picture of your ticket stub. But nobody wants to do that, and I don't think they should do that. I think it's just an unfortunate part of audience reviews. I mean, even if that even reaches over to anything, like if you look at Yelp or apps for your phone, things that tend to be made from bigger companies have lower scores because more people use it, so more people have negative experiences. So I think it's an unfortunate part of it, but luckily I think with Rotten Tomatoes it doesn't happen that often. And in my honest opinion, I think it's because there's not a ton of huge film fandoms like there are with video games. Like there's Marvel fandom, DC fandom, but that's really it. You know what I mean? Like there's not a ton of fandoms that are going to get pissed off and go on the internet like there is with video games, I think.
Yeah, that could be true. I don't think that ticket verification would be all that bad. I think that it would be easier to just like weight like audience reviews more if they prove that they actually got a ticket for it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like when you buy something on Amazon, if you see like reviews from people who have actually bought it versus just reviews, you're kind of like, oh, okay, these people actually have like certified bought this thing. Maybe I could trust what they say. Yeah, maybe I could trust what they say a little bit more than I would somebody else, but it still doesn't mean that there aren't people out there just hate mongering and like willing to support but also defame the movie at the same time. I don't think that that's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I didn't even think of Amazon, so that's a perfect point. As far as the verified purchase on Amazon, obviously it's less work because you're already using Amazon to buy the thing, but I can definitely see where you're coming from there. The other point that Zach had made about looking at the top 5 films, so that was going to be my first tip when you're using Rotten Tomatoes. So do not go to Rotten Tomatoes. These are tips based on my personal experience. Do not go to Rotten Tomatoes and look at the list of what's rated well or the list of what's coming out this week and what's rated well. The problem with that is the biggest misconception people have is you have to remember this percentage is how many people that saw the movie enjoyed the movie, not the quality of the movie. So what I mean by that is if you have a movie that's 95% certified fresh, but it's an independent movie, of course that's going to have a high score because it's only in 500 theaters and a whole bunch of people who love movies saw it, so they all liked it. As to where you see a movie like, let's say, for example, Batman v Superman, that has a score in the 50s, that was seen by hundreds of millions of people, so it's probably going to have a score more in the middle. So I think the best way to do it is to only look up a score for a movie that you're already thinking of seeing, just to see how many people enjoyed it. So like Shazam, for example. Oh, I'm thinking of taking my family to see Shazam. Oh, it has a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. A lot of people liked it. That's probably a good sign. I wouldn't go out of your way to decide what movies to see, solely based on Rotten Tomatoes. It's simply, in my opinion, a supplement tool. Like you're already thinking of it, but oh shit, it has a 5% on Rotten Tomatoes. Maybe I should rethink that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, to back up your point, it says here that Shazam, just for like the tomato meter, that it had 293 reviews for that one. Where if we look at the film Rodents of Unusual Size, there was a total of 40.
Nice.
Over double the reviews. Yeah, so exactly my point. And again, the tomato meter is still all critics, but still, with more popular movies, you're going to have more critics reviewing it. I mean, that's just how it goes. The next tip with that is, me personally, if the tomato meter is anywhere less than 80% and more than 20%, I don't even pay attention to it. Because as we talked about earlier with those average scores, anything in the 70s all the way down to the 30s is a complete crapshoot. Like you could see a movie in the 30s and in the 70 percentages. It's just so up in the air at that point. So I only give any type of weight to scores that are in that very high percentage, like 80 and above. Like, oh, a lot of people are liking this movie. Or if it's at the very bottom, like Emoji Movie at 7%, like, oh, this is a lot of people are not enjoying this movie. That's really the only time I give any type of weight to it. If I'm thinking about seeing a movie and I check on there and it's 55, 65, 70, it doesn't even really matter to me. It's like, okay, I could like it, I could not at that point.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then, yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, like if it's really bad, it would be under 20%. but like if it's over 80%, I don't know. I think everything would make me suspect, bro. I think if it was under 20%, I'd be like, I gotta see this shit, see why everyone thinks it's so bad.
That just comes down to what your priorities are, what you wanna see.
Yeah. Oh man.
Definitely. And then let's say at the end of the day, even with all of these tips, you still don't want to use Rotten Tomatoes. But you want to have a way to still have some type of word on, what movies are good, what movies aren't good. The two main alternatives I have for Rotten Tomatoes, the first one is pretty simple. You'd think everyone can think of it, but there are so many movie critics out there that from someone like me who watches a ton of movies to someone who watches one movie in theaters a year, you could find people online who have similar tastes as you. My opinion is I put way more stock into a critic that I personally follow on YouTube or on a website than I do a Rotten Tomato score. It's just so much more personable. You know that person's tastes. So just like you would, Isaiah, with a video game reviewer or a video game review company, I would do the same thing with movies. Try to find some people that you agree with, and even some that you don't agree with. That way, if they really like something, you might not. I find that to be a much better way. And then if you don't have the time to even do that, there's a website called CinemaScore. And what they do is if you're not seeing the movie opening night, which if you're unsure of seeing it, you're probably not seeing it opening night, they survey, I think it's like 10,000 people that see the movie opening night and then ask them to give a score A through F of the movie right after they come out. So you can see after opening night of a movie what its cinema score is from A+ to F, and that's about as authentic of an audience opinion as you're going to get, in my opinion. So if you're not looking to see the movie opening night and you can wait, check out the cinema score, because that's actual audiences randomly being told about the movie, and you can see, do the audiences think it's a B+ or an A, or is it a D? You can kind of skip it. So I think those are two good alternatives for Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, I did not know that exists. That would make it'd be a lot easier. Then I guess there's some times where I think movies get better after I sit on them, but coming right out of the theater, it kind of gives you like the best inclination on how I'm gonna feel coming out of the theater. And then there's some people who just like sit there and think about it too much, especially if they're out here writing reviews on Rotten Tomatoes every night for the movies that come out. They could be just overthinking it. You never really get at that. But if you could get them like right out of the theater, like, what'd you think? A through F. Think it was pretty good, If you were grading this movie, what would you say? I think that should be much more telling on what you would want to see. But if it ended bad, but the rest of the movie was good, you're just gonna get a bunch of people who are like, "Fuck that movie, F."
Yeah, no, that's fair. And one other thing I like about CinemaScore is that it helps with tricky marketing. A lot of movies will try to get you like, look how scary this movie is, or look how much action's in this movie through its trailers and marketing. And then when you go, it's not that great, and you realize everything good was in the trailer. CinemaScore is infamous for revealing those movies, because you have people going in expecting something and then coming out going, what the hell was that? So that's a good alternative. But overall, right. Rotten Tomatoes is fine, just like everything else in life.
Everything is fine. It's all
everything
okay.
is fine. But yeah, for anyone listening, do you use Rotten Tomatoes? Could you care less? Do you go opposite of what the critics think every time? Let us know. But that's been our deep dive on it. You guys want to move on to our fan? You guys want to move on to our fan question?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about them fans. You guys keep us alive out there interacting with our Twitter.
Hold on. Before we move on to that, let's see here. Grave Encounter's got a 64 Rotten Tomato. What are your two favorite movies? And let's see what we get on here.
My favorite movie is
Osmosis
Jones.
All right.
Osmosis Jones. Or Boss Baby. I like Boss Baby a lot too.
Oh, we'll do Boss Baby, because I can't spell that. Boss Baby. First one, 52%.
52%. Certified rotten.
Nice. Josh? Well, Josh is going to have a bright one.
Yeah, Inception. I mean, you know that. I've said that before.
Yeah. Let's just see how great this movie is. 86. See, and I think that should be higher. And personally,
I think I'm more curious about Osmosis Jones. I'm going to look it up right now.
Osmosis Jones, dude, that's
55% right there. Same exact score.
Dang.
There you go.
That's incredible.
Jones, bro, slaps. It's a good one.
Wow,
All right,
this is
let's
one of
get
the
into the
few
fan question.
All right. The fan question this week was, what was the first movie that truly scared you?
So let's start off with Zach. What was the first movie that truly scared you, and what was your favorite fan opinion?
I think the first movie that actually truly scared me had to be, and this will probably be my favorite fan one as well, submission we have, which was The Ring. I don't know what about The Ring it is. Like, I look back at it now and I'm just like, I don't understand how this could truly like frighten me as much as it did as a child, but it frightened me to the point where I was looking under my bed every night before I went to bed for like a week afterwards.
Yeah, I've never seen The Ring because I've just as a kid it looked so terrifying, so I never even watched it.
It, man, still gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
My favorite fan one has to be Brad, who also said The Ring, because I know the stories he told me from his sister scaring him so bad about The Ring, and it just makes me laugh every time. So that's why it's my favorite one.
But we should be fair though. If someone agrees with you, that shouldn't have to be your pick. You got another one as well, or did you hate all the other answers?
Let me pull them back up here. I bet there was some other good. Okay. Our viewers were very good this week with it, so I bet I can easily find some.
All right, what about you, Isaiah?
I think my favorite fan answer had to be at MikeMac_BG on Twitter. He said, Lord of the Rings, A Fellowship of the Ring. When you're 6 years old in the theater, those ring rates are absolutely petrifying. This one was the only one that kind of surprised me. I was like, Lord of the Rings, but I've never seen Lord of the Rings, so I don't know what he's actually talking about. But I was like, how could Lord of the Rings be scary? So I went and I looked up what the ring race were, and I was like, you're right. If I was 6, I would have lost my shit. Personally, I got fucked up. So I saw the original Scream movie when I was 4 or 5 years old, and I'm still fucked up to this day and open up my shower curtain every time I go into the bathroom to make sure I'm not going to get stabbed by a guy in a Scream mask. So that's me, dude. I'm still fucked up. He's here. He's in my house.
That's the true, like, when you know a movie's gotten to you, where you have to do stuff to, like, calm yourself down after the movie, like looking under your bed, opening up the curtains. Like, that's when you know a movie's truly gotten to you.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, for sure. For me, as far as my answer, I'm going to agree with my brother Chris, at Chris Shumney, who posted a GIF, The Exorcist. I remember, and this is like such the easy answer, but I have to agree with it, because when I remember when I was about 11 years old, okay, well, first of all, a little bit of background. You guys know this. I grew up in a family who, I don't want to say they were super religious, because we didn't really go to church or anything, but they absolutely believed in the devil and hell and exorcisms as a real thing that happened. So all I heard about the movie The Exorcist was that it was just, based off a true story and terrifying and the worst thing that could ever happen to you. So I remember when I was 11 years old, my older brother actually watching The Exorcist in our house, and I begged him to watch it, and I begged my mom, like, I won't be scared, I won't have nightmares. I literally made it like 20 minutes into the movie, and then I had to go upstairs.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And to this day, I've only watched it once, and I totally respect it as a great horror movie, but I have no part of me that ever wants to watch it again.
See, I love the Exorcism movies, and I feel like that's just because I like The Exorcism. All the other ones were not that good, but I watched those when I was a lot older, and I really enjoy them.
And
so
then,
what's your favorite? What's your favorite fan? Your favorite fan?
Yeah, so my favorite one has to be at Queener18, who said 13 Ghosts. Dude, if I had a second pick, that'd be it, because 13 Ghosts fucked me up as a kid. And to this day,
fucking so good.
Yeah, to this day, it baffles me that movie isn't like talked about more, because it's like so outrageous and terrifying and original, and Shaggy is in it. Like, I don't understand why people don't talk about it more often. So I got to go with 13 Ghosts for my fan pick. Zach, did you find one other one that you liked?
I would probably say 13 Ghosts as well. I loved like I shouldn't say original, but super unique scary movies, and that was probably one of the first ones at the time. that really hit all the points for me that I need.
Wow. I think that we should go as the 13 Ghosts this Halloween. All 13 of them. You guys pick a few. I'll pick a few. Yeah.
I'll call 1 through 4.
All right. I'll call 13. You guys got the rest.
I just want to be the big baby one.
Big baby.
There's like a big baby with vomit on him or something. I'll be that one.
All right, Josh. Where can we find you out on the Interverse?
Well, first, actually, does anyone have a fan question for next week?
Yeah. Fan question for next week. What is the thing that you are the most excited for that's supposed to come out this year?
Okay, yeah. All right, most excited for in 2019. What is it? We'll post that on Twitter probably this week at some point.
This week at some point.
But you can find me at _Joshua_Singh_ as I truly try to fight my addiction to social media. I think about quitting every day, but I just don't do it. You can also find me. Yeah, you can also find me on YouTube as soon as I find out how to rip Creed 2 to my Blu-ray, from my Blu-ray to my computer. That'll be up. And that's really about it. You can follow me on Letterboxd, where I talk about movies in case you, for whatever godforsaken reason, don't get annoyed with me on here about it. You can look at it on there as well. What about you, Zach?
You can find me on Twitter at Zach the Pigeon, and Instagram. I think I've just given up on it. It'll be one of the very.
No.
Wow, I thought he was definitely going to be in there in April.
In April, I mean, there's still time. We still have like 3 more episodes before the end, technically.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Isaiah, Zach waited until he moved away. He knew you couldn't beat his ass when he said
that.
Oh,
no, I'll find him, bro. I know. I got spies. I know exactly where Zach is right now. Nice red shirt, Zach.
I wish I was wearing that.
Damn it.
Red shirt.
We all know Zach's naked during all of these recordings.
And drunk.
You aren't?
You can find me on Twitter at PHP_Islaya. We are in a war right now. The Hooligan Radio Twitter is only 3 followers behind my actual Twitter. So if you're listening to this and don't follow my actual Twitter, I really could use that boost in the confidence of you following me in real life. So, at PHP_Islaya. It's just 1 click away from the Hooligan Radio page.
Isaiah, you kind of have to think, if the Hooligan Radio Twitter does surpass you, I mean,
that's kind of like a successful. You have a successful podcast at that point. More people follow your podcast than follow you. I consider that successful. Yeah, I probably have to just delete my Twitter then, right? Because I got defeated. It'd be like, this is basically bigger than PewDiePie versus T-Series at this point. Am I going to lose my own podcast? I have 1,696 tweets right now, so it's literally 1,696. Come on. Come in here. I'm going to keep it so you can see the pretty numbers. Who's going to be my 150th follower? I need to get there. Let's go, guys.
And I think didn't you delete your old Twitter or something? So you had a decent amount of followers before. Yeah, I had a good amount of followers, but I got rid of that Twitter because there was too many nerds, too many cooks in the kitchen, as we say out here. I'm just trying to get more cooks in the new kitchen. I built a whole new kitchen for all these cooks, and they all left. They don't want to come back.
They like the style of the old kitchen.
Yeah, so we'd like to thank Surgerburger for our new theme for our new segment called See It, Play It. SPS for short. We also like to thank American Spirits for the use of our theme song Blanket Forts off of their first EP. Who else do we thank here? What's the rest? Who do we thank? We'd like to thank the listeners for being the bomb and talking about us on Twitter. It's always great to see you guys interacting with us and tweeting about the podcast. We'd like
the involvement with it.
We'd like to thank Zach's mom for giving birth to one of our favorite co-hosts. Guys, I'm not content with the content. I want more.